Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Fallout, and today we're talking about one of my favorite expressions to ever come out of the Destiny community, which also has an impactful meaning to really all video game communities, not just Destiny. And that expression is... Use whatever, don't apologize! I'm going to give a quick rundown of where this phrase came from exactly, the meaning behind it, and why it's so important to keep in mind, not just as a Destiny player moving into D2, but also as a gamer in general. Okay, so many of you probably know that the first time this expression was actually said out loud was from the YouTube video and Crucible rap, Rise Up, a rap by Bones from Crucible Radio, also featuring both Daddy Fat Snaps and Duba. There's a little more history to that expression though, it didn't just completely appear out of thin air. The Destiny community is an incredibly large and diverse place, and to reach the origin of the phrase, we're going to a particular place on Reddit called the Crucible Playbook. While Destiny the game is currently the largest and most well-known Destiny subreddit, which focuses on all of Destiny, Crucible Playbook is a subreddit that focuses entirely on discussing ways to personally improve and learn about PvP. One Reddit user who eventually became a mod in the Playbook subreddit named Lime Punch, aka Keen Koala, had a small series of posts on the subreddit called Crucible Book Club, where he looked at different books and tried to take lessons away from or general knowledge that could also be applied to getting better at Destiny PvP. One of the books brought up by Keen is one I'm very fond of, and I've even talked about it on this channel before, which is David Sirlin's Playing to Win. It's a fantastic book that talks a lot about a concept coined by the author called scrub mentality, which goes into all the different excuses that mentally bad gamers might give when they lose games other than taking the path to either personal improvement or stronger play. Basically, if a player is constantly losing games due to their own playstyle choices, rather than even considering changing their playstyle, they will instead endlessly complain and bitch about everything they feel is wrong with the other player, the game, and so on. Keen had been a guest on the Crucible Radio podcast to talk about his posts, and the playbook in general was getting more and more open in their internal discussions about avoiding scrub mentality. In a few discussions I had with both Crucible Radio and other Destiny content creators, a growing trend was found in that sometimes after a game, players on the other team would message things like, "Hey GG, I follow you on YouTube or Twitch, whichever. Glad I got to play against you. Sorry I was using blank." You know, whatever was strong at that time in Destiny. Thorn, shotguns, whatever. Fill in the blank, really. Basically, players felt the need to personally apologize to Destiny community members that they happened to bump into in PvP, because they were worried that if they didn't, then they'd be looked down on or even made fun of for using certain weapons or tactics that some players in the community had openly mocked or hated on. On our end, the content creators' end, getting these messages from supporters and players who were just embarrassed in a way was kind of silly. We'd basically found out that every time each of us got a message like that, we'd reply with something along the lines of, "Well, why are you sorry? You're just playing with what you like, or you're just playing to win, who cares?" It's not a crime to play with the goal of winning if that's what it is you want to do. As time went on and this particular portion of the PvP community embraced the play to win mentality a bit more and more, Bones eventually put together, with the help of Duba and Daddy Fat Snaps, Rise Up, which includes the particular lyric, "Use whatever, don't apologize." That line has caught on pretty heavily in the community since then, and I really love it because it perfectly boils down and simplifies one of the main arguments brought up in David Sirlin's book. If you're a gamer, you can either play to have fun, or you can play to win. Both are fine. You're perfectly entitled to do whichever you want. At the end of the day, it's your game, and you're allowed to play it the way that you want to. If you're playing PvP and someone on the other team lashes out at you for, using a gun that they don't like, or playing a certain way that they don't like, whatever that reason might be, that's not something that you should be ridiculed or feel shame for. Either you're playing that way because you find it fun, or you're using it to try and win the game, and there's nothing wrong with either of those things. It's so important for players to understand that using things in video games that are effective or strong on paper, it doesn't make you a bad person. If you're trying to win, it only makes sense that you're going to be making the strongest moves that help you achieve that goal. Just like how tall basketball players are more likely to take advantage of their height by driving right in to try and dunk. or how a football coach might decide to run a pass-heavy offense against an opposing team that has shown over the past few games that they are defensively weak against teams that pass. If you were to go and accuse that entire football team of playing cheaply, for example, then that wouldn't really make a lot of sense, because they're just doing what only naturally makes sense for them to do on paper. The more I hear players in the Destiny community embracing use whatever, don't apologize, the more it just makes me smile. It's players understanding that people are allowed to play however they like, but a bit more than that, it's players understanding the nature of video game competition in general. There are always going to be certain tactics, weapons, characters, or playstyles in competitive video games that will be stronger on paper than other choices available in the game. You need to expect players to use those options against you, because believe me, they will. But in doing so, they'll force you to change your way of thinking about the game. They'll force you to play better, smarter, to search for new counters rather than just complain that you're being bothered in your own comfort zone. They'll force you to get good. All of that summed up beautifully in just 4 words. Use whatever, don't apologize. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please don't forget to both like and subscribe if you haven't already. It's very much appreciated by me. Be sure to let me know your thoughts below in the comment section about the use whatever, don't apologize mentality. And please also follow me on Twitch if you would, where I stream games 5 times a week. Hope you learned something. See you next time. Think your technique is inscrutable. Welcome to your funeral. Skills irrefutable. You can save all your arguments. You fear my arsenal. Wait till I play with an armament. Today I'm stomping it, especially CQC. Better watch it when I shotgun. You can only see through me. Let me be clear. I am your only reason to fear. If you face this Iron Lord, you'll be leaving in tears. People